So my name is Selene Solis. I'm from Belize. I work with the National Institute for Culture and History, specifically the Institute for Social and Cultural Research. Too long, Indigenous peoples, not just women, Indigenous peoples in general have been told that their cultural practices are not important, that they don't contribute to development, that they're not useful anymore, that modernity does not require Indigenous knowledge or Indigenous practices anymore. And I feel like there's been in recent years, I'm not sure how far back it goes, but in recent years, a reaffirmation of how significant Indigenous contributions and traditional knowledge is to all communities, to nation states, to the global community in general. So women as the custodians, I believe, as protectors of cultural heritage, of cultural values, of cultural practices, not just in Belize, all over the world, they are protectors of that knowledge. They have the opportunity, they have the influence, they have the power to translate that knowledge and to translate those experiences that they have into being able to satisfy their greatest concerns. And from my interaction in Belize with a lot of Indigenous women, largely it's been sustaining themselves, sustaining their families, putting their children through school, the most basic ideas that we often overlook. That's what they're looking to do. And they have it within their hands. And I think they're now beginning to realize that the traditional knowledge, the knowledge of the rainforest, the knowledge of craftsmanship, that they can be able to, I guess, just capitalize on everything that they have within themselves that might not come from formal training, but comes from transmission from grandmother to daughter to grandchild, to be able to really start a resurgence on those cultural practices and empower themselves to be able to just propel their interests, which are the most basic ideas: sustaining self, sustaining children, putting children through school. Those are the primary things that they're looking at, and they have the knowledge, they have the key. And I believe we're not, and we as a global community are not empowering them enough with that know-how. You know, we're not telling them that enough, that you have the key to making those things possible for yourself, and we need to do that more. And so, yeah, I just believe that's one of the most important things. To break it down into numbers, which you can't really, which doesn't fully explain everything, but I'm a quarter Maya descent. My grandmother is a Maya woman born into a Maya community, adopted into a Garifuna family. So I do feel connected to Maya people, Maya traditions, but my family, although we do not share any blood relation, they're of Garifuna descent. I share their cultural practices, I share their traditions, I share their belief systems. But through that, I still feel that inherent connection to my Indigenous self, my Maya self, right? And that's something, it's strange because coming from a family that's predominantly male, let's say, my grandmother, she had 5 boys, they didn't have that interest. So no, I find that it's been left up to, I won't say left up to me, but my interests have propelled me towards cultural interests and trying to re-identify myself with these cultural practices, these different cultural and ethnic groups that exist in Belize. And I will say that I use it to my advantage a lot in my work. You know, when I go into a Garifuna community, I'll say, well, my family is Garifuna. When I go into a Maya community, I pull out a picture of my grandma. I say, well, my granny was Maya, you know. And although I use it to my advantage, I will say to my own disadvantage, I don't connect enough with it, right? I don't reflect on it enough. And I think being placed in a space like this workshop, listening to speakers like Christina and Annalita, and, you know, being put in your face consistently, the struggles and the reality, that's when it becomes truly real. And I've been reconnecting with that experience through them. I realized the reality that my family could have had. I connect with it, I feel a part of it, and how I identify myself is just the most complex question because, you know, in Belize we'd say, okay, I'm Creole, But as I said, I feel Maya, I feel Garifuna, I feel a part of this broader Indigenous movement because it's in my blood, it's in my system. And it's not something that you can explain. It's amazing how I've been able to network with people from my own country. I mean, we're in Belize, we're all working in Belize, but we don't meet. We have to come to Trinidad to network. That is an amazing concept to me. The network with other communities, with other countries, with other women in the region. I think identifying that we're going through some of the same struggles, that there are best practices that we can identify from community to community, region to region, country to country, that network, establishing that there's a common thread throughout our communities, a common thread of concerns, a common thread of activities. We need to band together and make it a unified effort. And I think this conference, this workshop, has provided the space for us to realize that, again, for some people, because they've been participating in activities like this, but for me it's the first time. I feel like I can go back to Belize and I could call on Christina, I could call on Annalita, I could call on other women from throughout the region, and that's been possible because of bringing us together in this space over the past couple of days.